Yep.
I mean, from the just on the coolant front and on the audit front, I think someone said this to me last week, which I think is really effective, and they were talking about actually hiring someone for email strategy, but they said what they were looking for was someone that could balance the taste of a brand marketer and the conversion mentality of a performance marketer. And I think
Ooh.
that's probably, whether it's in the audit space or the performance marketing space, that's really what you want. And that's a lot of what audit is talking about when we talk CRO. It's like they're looking at from both lenses. It's not one or the other, and it's not one's better or one's worse. Like that's not it at all. It's just having kind of that full vision of taking the perspective of the brand, the customer, all the different potential outcomes, and seeing it holistically versus just like what's the data say on Facebook, like that. And I think that's in any role in this space, it's really critical to find people like that that aren't just, not to say that people that are really talented in one vertical aren't good hires, because they are in a lot of cases, but I prefer finding those people that are looking at things more holistically. I find that they learn faster. I find that they're more self-sufficient. They're not taking as much, they're, like I said, they're learning on YouTube, or they're so used to
Yep.
learning that way that they're not constantly asking questions, which, especially when you're hiring people, that's my biggest fear constantly. And that's why I got out of the agency, is just you spend more time managing people than you do actually managing your business. And that's obviously super stressful, but it's also like, how are you supposed to grow your business? Like the whole point of starting a business was to, you know, build something for, yourself and the people that you're connecting with. And I think there's nothing wrong with managing people. It's just in my position, it's not for me. I'd rather work with people that somewhat manage themselves for the most part.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I'm with you. The one challenge there is usually those kind of people that have the skill set of, I love that taste slash conversion mindset where, and that was kind of Steve Jobs' thesis, where a lot of the magic lived at the confluence of the arts and technologies, right? Like
Yeah.
at that intersection is really where things come off, because you have this kind of liberal arts holistic view with the knock-on effects, but then you also have this technician of like, okay, cool, you want to build a unicorn, but where do we find the horn? Where do we find the head? Where do you, like,
Yeah.
and so it's this marriage of, really, to me, innovation and dreaming, but also practicality and pragmatism, and the ability to have that dream but also be able to execute upon it is
Yeah.
really the show, in my opinion. And finding those people, pay them, keep them, do whatever you can, because they're kind of like singer songwriters, where they can write the song and sing it, man. Because one of the things that I absolutely underestimated becoming CMO is that managerial perspective of like,
Yeah.
unless you're bringing in kind of VP, senior level people where you can kind of basically just brain dump on them, like, okay, go get it, Shaun. And
Yeah.
you're like, all right. And you kind of fucking figure it out. But when you bring in more junior people, I mean, it's not a knock on them, but they have no idea what they're doing. Like, they need some sort of leadership. And I found that was something I really need to work on, because it is really valuable to be able to skill those people up. But at the same time, to your point, I'm in a position that I can do that, but a lot of people need to be working on their business, not working in their business.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time, where you hit these plateaus where there's a certain point where you just can't scale anymore because you just don't have the bandwidth. And then you
Yeah.
start to have degradations across other sectors in your business. And then, all that fancy reputation that you built. That's what the weird thing about reputation. It's so hard to get, so easy to lose.
Yeah. No, and I to your point, like I think it is an important role, and someone has to do it. I think just you have to be very conscious of who's doing it and when, because like it's happening literally right now at audit. Like we're scaling and we're trying to add additional services. We're talking about launching an entirely community portion of it, where we're
Love it.
doing the audit that way, and it's finding the right people that are on board for so many facets of it, because especially with my background, I'm looking at it like, okay, well, are you seeing the things I'm seeing, or are you just reading the reports we've given and regurgitating it back to customers in a new
Yep.
report? Because that's not what I want. I don't want you to learn my perspective and then go tell new customers how to place a button on their site. That's not what I want at all. I want someone that goes in and understands that brand journey, analyzes it, and gives them a perspective that's unique to them. And I think finding people like that, it's just it's so hard. It's
It's
yeah.
it's so hard, and not only that, like we found a few people, and a lot of times they're doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
And so it's like, here's a bunch of money. They're like, well, I'm making fine money. I don't have a boss. Like, I'm running my own little agency. I'm running 4 or 5 clients, and I'm printing money.
Yeah.
Like, why would I want to change this? And you're like, fair point. All right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've found that those kind of people with those skill sets have really become incredibly either expensive or, quite frankly, just unattainable, because the economics needed, like, it's not even an economics thing. It's a lifestyle thing where they're happy where they're at, and they they don't want to bring in all these other weird pressures. They don't know about these. They already have their own processes. I love it. I love it. I love it.